Well. Everyone's having the meltdown over Trump and his tariff plan with China, although many nations have already bent the knee. Now, you're not seeing that reported in liberal media. You're not seeing that reported in on Twitter, really, even. And by the way, when I say like bent the knee, look, it's funny when I say that about India, but like the articles that say like Canada bent the knee, I like my Canadian viewers. I just want a deal that, works good for both sides. I feel like zero tariffs on both sides will be a good deal. Then you have a situation like with the UK, European Union. Love my European viewers. Love Europeans. No problem with them. Except those new ones that are infiltrating. You guys know who. But I want tariffs that are good for both sides, and that's what we're going to get out of this. That's why we're getting a lot of this stuff. By the way, as you may hear some rustling around in the background, that is Maggie packing up. That's right, we are moving office. I did not. We put the new office construction on hold. Just didn't. I'm so invested in Coffee Brand Coffee that I didn't want to be double invested, double spread thin. So we're just moving to a little bit bigger room in the house. And that's, I think, the smart thing. Beijing now striking back and refusing to back down on tariffs. Of course, all the mainstream media it's funny how they're like, oh, China's strong. Oh, China's so strong. America weak. In response to why Beijing is not backing down on Donald Trump's tariffs, the answer is that it doesn't have to. China's leaders would say that they are not inclined to cave to a bully, something its government has repeatedly labeled the Trump administration, but it also has the capacity to do this way beyond any other country on earth. Before the tariff was kicked in, China did have a massive volume of sales to the U.S., but to put it in context, it only amounts to about 2% of their GDP. That said, the Communist Party would clearly prefer not to be locked into a trade war with the U.S. at this time, when it's struggling to fix its own considerable economic headaches after years of a real estate crisis, overblown regional debt, and persistent youth unemployment. However, despite this, the government has told its people that it is in a strong position to resist the attacks from America. Well, they're also doing all sorts of things to prop up their market. They're selling off bonds, treasuries, I believe, in the United States. They're weakening their currency to fight against inflation. They're doing all sorts of stuff. And really, America hasn't done anything. The Fed hasn't done anything. A lot of people want the Fed to drop rates. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think that when you're going to have a position, a temporary position of pain, it's best to just deal with it rather than try to shortcut it with rate cuts and stuff like that. Not that I would have a problem with rate cuts, especially given the big reason I held off on doing that new building is that interest rates were like 6%. And the thing is that China is in worse position than anybody. Look at this. U.S. stocks slide on opening as China raises tariffs to 125%. Let's check on that. What? The Dow Jones is up 400 points? Wait, the NASDAQ, it's up 200. Oh, it might be down. Oops, it's up 224? What? Both markets are up more than 1%? I mean, that's not exactly going to the moon. And Fridays, we always have, we have the power hour on late Friday. We can really see exactly what's going to happen. But fact check, you're wrong. Every market, every day basically this week, there's been great buying opportunities in the morning. I am deeply over-invested in Tesla. I think at the start of the week, my dollar cost average on Tesla was like, or maybe 2 weeks ago, was like $320 a share. But through strategic timing and small investments, I've driven it all the way down to about $270 a share this week because of this dip. And I think Tesla's trading at 230 right now, 240. So obviously if I had any more money, which I don't, I would still be dollar cost averaging Tesla to try and get my overall price per share down. But like people sell in the morning, then people like me who are looking to DCA down, move in and help their positions in the stock. That's how it's been going all week. Live update. China raises tariffs on U.S. 125% as tit for tat trade war escalates. It's like the American media is cheering for this. Have you noticed that in the articles? Have you noticed that? The American media is like cheering for this trade war. And they're cheering for the papers and the liberals who used to be against Wall Street are suddenly all interested in Wall Street and all about making sure that, is celebrating Americans' mutual funds going down and the retirement fund going down. I thought that they were for the worker, but apparently not. Apparently not. Apparently that's not the case. We have, this is what the Democrats and the left want. Meanwhile, we can listen to some people that actually understand what's going on with the tariffs here and this morning on Fox News.
Joining me now is Chamath Palihapitiya. He's the venture capitalist and co-host of the fantastic All In podcast.
I do want to address the newly established rules as per yesterday's Joe Rogan podcast. Please disregard my comments about the stock market because I've never actually been in the stock market.
Listen to today, Chamath. Thanks for joining us tonight. Now, even the Chinese economists are admitting that the tariffs are going to hurt China a lot more than the United States. One of their major economists saying the impact on China is mainly that Chinese products have nowhere to go.
Yes.
These companies will be hit very hard.
Wait a minute. I thought I just read the statement from China. I thought I read a literal American reporter talking about how China doesn't need to worry about us because it's only 2% of their GDP. Well, who's going to buy it? Let me turn it up a little here.
Your take on where we stand today, Chamath.
Laura, first of all, thank you for having me on Fox. I feel like I've made it. It's the first time with you. And you pronounced my name right, which makes me feel like I've already won. So thank you.
Fantastic. I've already won.
What I want to say is I think that we underestimate the difficulty, as you said, that China is in. So I'll just give you a couple stats. Together, America and China represent almost half of world GDP. But underneath the covers, what we keep forgetting time and again is America is the market that matters.
Correct.
China has an aging population. They have a very difficult case for foreign investment. In fact, foreign investment in China has fallen off of a cliff. They have very murky rules on IP, and they have a very difficult economic forecast if they shrink. And so when you look at the China case, they're in a worse position than we are, which is why they have to sort of come to the negotiating table now and figure out some reasonable thing. And I think this is what President Trump was alluding to when he said they want to come to the table and they don't quite know how.
I agree with that. I agree.
Now, Chamath, Biden's old Treasury Secretary was on television today and not happy at all with Trump's recent moves. Watch this.
This is the worst self-inflicted wound that I have ever seen an administration impose on a well-functioning economy. We have...
The economy wasn't well-functioning. This, again, all these people, like, are you saying the economy was, by what? Listen here, Betty White. What measure are you saying the economy was functioning so well? Is it simply because stonks? Because America has been getting gutted for the past 20 years of manufacturing and production and jobs. What are you even talking about?
Enormous, almost prohibitive tariffs on China.
They're supposed to be prohibitive.
Which is one of our most important sources of imports.
Shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We should. What? That's the whole point. You biddy. Like, the whole point of this is saying we don't want to be as dependent on China. So we are giving other nations like India and other ones opportunities to step in. We're also setting the tariffs so that we can bring some of this manufacturing back.
Yellen's Yellen, your response, well, it's not really Yellen, but so is a very well-functioning economy, Chamath. That's what Biden left us.
When the history books are written, I think we will look back at the period of the Biden administration, and I think there will be two unequivocal observations. One was that he was in mental decline and he was not really running the country.
No kidding.
And the second is that in partnership with Janet Yellen, they pushed America to the brink of financial collapse. And the details of that, Laura, are very clear. The amount of debt that they created and issued, the amount of short-term obligations that they created for the U.S. Treasury are, frankly,
if you look what's going on with treasuries right now,
the reality is that for the last 40 years, whether they want to admit it or not, Donald Trump has been right. When we admitted China into the WTO in 2000, we thought we were getting the best of it.
Nope.
But we didn't. We did a very bad deal, and they won overwhelmingly. Then, 20 years later, right at the beginning of COVID, we realized yet again how fragile the United States was, how incapable we were
of producing
resiliently
anything,
protecting ourselves
correct,
and taking care of our own interests.
100% right. And again, but my stonks, they seem fine today. I'm guessing for a Friday, they'll probably end about even. I don't see it like going on any kind of crazy run unless we get a big, some sort of, China agreeing to pause. If China agreed to pause tariffs or to come to the table, it might go crazy. But I don't think there's any amount of tariffs that Trump can apply now that's going to make things worse. The liberals are cheering for this because they don't care how many people suffer. They just say, Orange man bad. But many countries, for example, India has already said, hey, we're going to come to the table. India to work to finalize a new trade deal with the U.S. during the 90-day tariff pause per Reuters. Great. India could replace 25% of what China's doing within 60 days, before the 90-day time is even over. Not that I think, again, I want to see some of this come back to the United States, but at the end of the day, these people are cheering for the destruction of this country. They're completely ignoring how bad things were. Remember, we couldn't even buy toilet paper because we don't even make that? You know what I mean? All in red, U.S. stock slide on opening. Right now, it's 12:30 p.m. Central, and The Guardian still has this in deep red on the top of their website. Why? Because fear. The Nasdaq's up. The Dow's up. Yet they haven't changed that headline. Why do you think that is? They want people to be afraid. Stick, diamond hands, everybody. Trust the plan. I believe in what Trump's doing completely.